Right here, I'm not too sure. Let's see. Let me take a look at our the good old
High 38 there, so he's got close to a 5-second lead now on John Bloody. And of course, now as I say that though, as Aquas got the vitamin R, John Bloody did get the first orb of the match, so he'll be able to have double the firepower that Aquas has. So could be an early advantage here for JohnBloodyThumbs if Aquas doesn't see that orb. But look at the time, even without the orb, still a 1:19. That is definitely a spicy pace here. John Bloody trying to take out the rest of these Mr. Shrapnels, just doesn't have the weapon to take him down and finds himself 9 seconds back. But if Aquas doesn't see this orb anytime soon and John Bloody is able to keep the orb intact, you could see that lead change.
Oh yeah, absolutely. He definitely got carried by some weapons. Aquas did get some rockets and some spreaders in that last room. But if you're just dealing with the pea shooter, as you can see, yeah, Eat My Shrapnel starts to get out of hand a little bit. Does get the razor. That'll help with the foot soldiers. It should be able to focus down the shrapnel. But yeah, as you can see, they're getting on the board a little bit there for Aquas.
Yeah, most certainly, because if you only have the pea shooter, if you have the orb, you can at least manage the room. A 205 for Aquas. Of course, 4 Mr. Shrapnels can be on the screen at maximum, and indeed, John Bloody did gain a second on Aquas. 8 seconds is the lead, and that could be shrinking if Aquas doesn't see an orb soon.
Yeah, absolutely. Still orbless. Is able to kind of keep it together. Does get the razor. Does get spreaders and a reload.
Oh, John just blocked that piece of shrapnel there with his orb there. That could have been disastrous. Oh, he's getting a little bit swarmed here, but he's going to get these rockets here. Aquas getting some spreaders. Still no orb for Aquas here. Almost 3 minutes in. John Bloody getting a little bit too close to those foot soldiers, but still has that orb intact. So looks like he has probably had a little bit of experience trying to get these arenas cleaned up. We'll see what the real test is when he gets into tank trouble. Rockets now for Aquas here on the left side, and Aquas, despite still no orb, he has a 304 going in to the secret bonus room there, and John Bloody actually lost time even with the orb. He's about 12 seconds back as it's time for Taco Bell product placement with Taco Bell.
Very nice, very nice. You know, obviously Aqua's showing the skills, showing the experience. Just give me a weapon. That's all I need. I don't need that dang orb. But John doing very well. You know, not too far behind. Getting a little squirrely with the angles. And our friend Brysolf did bring up a good point. I think diagonal sometimes.
Oh, and immediately John gets shot down by the gunners there, losing his life and the orb too. So Aqua's a chance to gain more on that lead. Finally, an orb for Aquas. It took him 4 minutes to see one here in this race.
Finally does get that orb, does get it right after the rockets too, is able to get right in this position, uses that spreader, and really is able to hold center now. So this is really, absolutely where Aquas could pull away, but does unfortunately take a clip right there. Foot Soldier is going to take that orb from Aquas, and then another one is going to get him in the kneecaps and put him down.
Both players here struggling with good use of the nuke there by Aquas, though, to close the room. 427, but both runners definitely struggling here in tank trouble, living up to its name here in game number 1. Is John going to ignore the nuke there using the rest of his rockets? And yeah, that time is bleeding and fast on John's side here. It's going to be 20, 30, maybe more seconds of a lead, and I think John should still be able to get to those rockets. All right.
Yeah, you're able to use the invulnerability, just makes the beeline forward. Isn't firing, which is a great call. Going to get a little faster movement when you're not firing and moving. That'll allow spreaders into the next room. Lobbers on Aquas' side as he gets the first arm.
Yeah, it's a 33-second lead for Aquas going in, but anything can happen here in the Mutoid Man fight. Good consistent damage with these lobbers as the second arm pops up. Back-to-back spreaders for John. He'll be able to get this one. But, oh, he runs right into the mine, and he loses all of that. And then he gets an invulnerability, which he could have used delightfully with that spreader. You hate to see it.
Mutoid Man doing Mutoid Man things. Unfortunately, Aqua's getting a nice spreader that's good for either player one or player two, is able to get up there, is getting that spreader damage very nicely. Going to be in final form here with the grenade.
Absolutely. Won't get much transfer damage on that, but this is going to be a really good time. And of course, another spreader when he doesn't need it. But this should be enough, I would believe, to finish off Mutoid Man. If not, the lobbers most. Oh, Aquas getting run over. Still should be able to get to those lobbers, I think. Yes.
Yeah, just in time for those lobbers there. And on John's side, does have the arm pop. We're at 6 minutes and is landing some nice lobber shots. I'd be very surprised. And there's a good spreader. It has to get it, though, and go for a manual here. While Aquas finishes up, that's going to be a nice little low 6 minute time to open up.
Yeah, 6:19 there for Aquas, and that was most of that run was without an orb there. That was nearly an orbless run there for Aquas. That was a very impressive run, to say the least. And under 2 minutes for the Mutoid Man fight, you'd definitely like to see that.
Yeah, absolutely. Just enough dropping. Did have a nice spreader there. Was able to utilize it effectively, as we expect from Aquas. Let's see. John's going to be very close here, I feel like. The lobber's getting enough damage each time he's seeing him. He's seeing a lot of weapons. Hopefully that doesn't dry up on him.
It does look like John is using the US card. You could tell because you see that Mutoid Man is firing at a very rapid rate here consistently. When you have the Japanese version, he fires more sporadically and far less often.
Yeah, one of those things. I think Forey brought this up in one of these previous matches. I didn't even kind of remember the fact that, yeah, I've always ran on the Japanese card, and I just kind of wondered why anybody would ever run on the US one, to be honest, just because, hey, if I could avoid seeing any lasers from this guy, let's do that instead.
Absolutely. So we're at the penultimate form now for John. Picks up some grenades here. Hasn't seen too many spreaders since that opening barrage there. More grenades, but not in a really good spot to get to them in time. So Aquas is up 1-0 in this best of 5 series. And final form now for John. So he's not going to be able to PB in this particular attempt, but he's got at least a couple more tries.
Yeah, and this will come with experience. I think, he had a pretty decent entry time. But yeah, Mutoid will just stick around. If you're taking deaths and you're just not able to land these lob shots, we brought that up last night. As far as, lobber is something you don't get exposed to until you get to this room. And so it's going to be a curveball for newer players for sure. Like, how do I even use this weapon if he's up against the wall? How do I bank this? What kind of depth do I have to have? So, and, Mutoid isn't going to be as friendly with the movement as well sometimes. So a lot of things at play there to land those lobbers. Does finish it up, though. It's looking like it's going to be right there at an 850 or so for JohnBloodyThumbs.
849 there. I tell you what, his opening rooms were pretty good. I mean, Tank Trouble, is the ultimate real first test, because we've talked about this before in past tournaments, is that room has the equivalent in terms of the spawn rate of an Arena 3 room. It is kind of like a little bit of a major test, as it were, before you go into the Mutoid Man fight.
Yeah, Tank Trouble. I even think Total Carnage. It'll kind of break you down a little bit. That room could get out of hand as well for you. Yeah, as long as you kind of learn the simple room of Shrapnel, that one's not so bad. But Total Carnage is really where it starts opening up, and then yeah, Tank Trouble. Absolutely, it really makes and breaks runs for any runner, honestly.
That most certainly does. So we'll see if Aquas can build on that game number 1 and see if he can get a sub-6 here. Played really, really well. And again, he was orbless almost the entire run. He got an orb very late into Tank Trouble, then didn't even have it that long. So for almost all intents and purposes, that was an orbless run. Just not going to show up in the statistics as that. But in any event, game number 2 is going to come up here, and we'll see if John Bloody can try to put a dent into this match, or if Aquas can take a commanding 2-0 lead.
Yeah, this is going to be interesting. This is this second game. Sometimes you will, I think Aquas had to go without this orb. It will be very interesting to see if Aquas does get a prime orb, because Aquas is playing very well without an orb even. So if he's able to get a little bit better weapon luck, I could see some very scary times coming out of Aquas in these races.
And he's one of the very few who plays as player number 2, along with Prince Leaf, and also not featured in the tournament this year, Jacquemus Wedge.
Yeah, the player 2 sometimes that seems like such a good strategy when all the drops are happening on that right side of the room for Mutoid Man. It's like, I should switch to player 2. But when you're just so kind of built in and you've been playing the game a certain way, there'd be a lot of mistakes trying to switch over from one side to the next. So I'm going to stick on player 1 side, but I appreciate the player 2 runners out there. It's always good to see the red hat out there.
You bet. A spreader to open for Aquas as he got about a 4.5 second lead going into collect power-ups, and this time it's Aquas getting the first orb on his second drop.
Yeah, there you go. Spreader into orb. This is where Aquas is going to do a lot of damage, really firing down those lanes. Unfortunately, the shoes there, you don't want to see that necessarily, but it's going to be able to hold the center of this room. And yeah, right there, sub 120.
Back-to-back 119s for Aquas going into Eat My Shrapnel. That is consistency, folks, but it's also the power of getting good quality weapons in that room, because that is absolutely what John has not gotten here in collect power-ups.
Yeah, just not happening right there. Does get a spreader finally after the nuke that he avoided, and it's going to be able to clean it up here. Going to come out of that room with a 144.
He's 25 seconds back, and he doesn't have an orb either here. But meanwhile, Aquas, no problem here in Eat My Shrapnels. All he has to do, in good use of the shield there, to just use it against one of the Mr. Shrapnel so that he doesn't suffer for that minor time penalty exiting the room, and it's a 202 into total carnage for Aquas.
Of course, savvy vet move right there. It's shaving tenths of a second, but we don't want to lose that time. So get rid of that razor and get out that door that much sooner.
Yeah, Taps, Aquas knows all about the photo finishes. He was involved in quite a few of them in last year's tournament.
Yeah, I don't think we've had nothing quite yet as far as going to the tape as far as any of our finishes. I know we've had awesome 5-game series so far. Hoping to potentially see something like that tonight or this weekend.
I'll tell you what, John also showing that skill, using the Razor Shield to take out some of the Mr. Shrapnels at the end. So both of our runners showing some nice veteran moves there. But once again, John still without the orb here. We start with Vitamin R, which is always a good drop to have when you... but he's clubbed down and loses everything. You hate to see it. But Aquas here, a sub 3. No, not quite. I thought he had that, but the room kind of lasted a little bit longer than I anticipated. It's a 3 flat going into the bonus room.
Yeah, very nice there by Aquas. Does have 2 bars of rockets, so that's going to help with those gunners early on. John was able to take rockets, parlay that into an orb, a replacement orb there. So John able to fire down the lanes a little bit better right now. It's looking pretty close to finishing out this room.
John didn't have to wait nearly as long as Aquas did, but there he goes. And yes, good use of the little rockets that Aquas had to take down both of the wall gunners there. So now his focus is to try to keep control of the middle of the room and hopefully get some weapons. But as Tank Trouble usually serves up, it's TTTT. I'm talking typical Tank Trouble trash. And I say that, hey, the game must have heard me. Rockets now for Aquas.
Gets to the feet, is able to just kind of parlay it, move, get to the next set of weapons there, see what drops, is able to turn it into some rockets there. Very nice. Didn't have to move much out of the center to get those as well, so that'll work out every time.
A big lead for Aquas as John is out there in a 4:07. It's 67 seconds already, and that's just the power of not having an orb here. Meanwhile, Aquas finishing off that room with a nice 4:16, sub 6, definitely on the table here for Aquas. Let's see what happens.
Yeah, absolutely. Got to see what is going to be this first drop. Unfortunately, invulnerability. Don't love to see that. It will protect you, obviously, from the gunner fire. So, could be able to at least take out one of those gunners. Set yourself up, and it does get the ball burst.
It does get the ball buster, and still has time to pick up those lobbers there on the other side, taking that intentional death to get there. Very nicely done there for Aquas. More lobbers now, that consistent damage. First arm goes, and we've got a key. That does us no good here because there is no pleasure dome to be had. Rockets now for John here in Tank Trouble, so he needs to see some good quality weapons here, and you definitely want to see rockets because this room does not like to serve too much typically in tank trouble. Pair of grenades now for Aquas as both arms are popped off. We're looking for the rib cage. There's another orb now for John. Foul that up with some rockets. So this should help him at least get close to the other room. This nuke could help if he decides to go after it. But he's not going to go after the nuke.
Going after it. Very bold with the non-nuke use. It really helps you like kind of reestablish the center when it's getting away from you. Tank trouble, that'll happen all the time. But yeah, bold play there by John is going to finish it out with the rockets there. Head pop on Aquas' side, get to that penultimate form.
Yep, 540 is the time. John into the Mutoid Man fight. Lobbers now for Aquas as he's closing in on final form. And there it is. And rockets with the orb, but it fouls it up with a key, and he's going to try to get the ball buster, but doesn't quite get it.
Appreciate the attempt, absolutely. I mean, that's great, and I love how even runners that are just starting to run these games, we saw some more advanced techniques from some of our racers yesterday. John trying to go for a ball bust. That's excellent. It doesn't matter what your what your level of skill is. If you start incorporating those early and get that practice in, get consistent with it, that'll be something you use throughout your runs while doing this.
It is Aquas taking game number 2 with another solid time, a 6:23. So we've seen some solid times in the first 2 games for Aquas, and you're going to see a lot of that when Aquas is playing. You're going to see consistent times, but occasionally you're going to see that really, really hot time where no matter what you do, you're just not going to win. You got to put up consistency when you're playing up against Aquas.
Consistency, and I think you might even have to go. There's kind of a thought of, you're in a tournament match, you just kind of want to get through this as fast as possible. You might not go for the spreader pulls, but I think against someone like Aquas, against some of those top tier runners, you got to go for those spreaders. You got to try to get some advantage as much as you can, because there's a likelihood you're not getting through the stages as fast as these folks. So you got to get in Mutoid Man, right?
Agreed. But so far, John has not seen a spreader. If he can see a spreader, though, he can get a PB if a spreader comes up here. I mean, Mutoid Man's in the right spot. It just has to show up for him.
Yeah, there's that angle. Mutoid getting to just enough depth, high enough on the screen to where all of a sudden your downward angle shots are not hitting with the lobbers. So now you got to bank them off the wall. And yeah, when he's wiggling around like that, all of a sudden these shots just aren't quite landing for John right now. Really needs to get something here, and Spreader will do it.
But instead, it's an invulnerability. I mean, Mutoid Man doing him no favors, I beg your pardon. RNG favoring the favorites, underwhelming the underdogs, and you're definitely seeing it here. I've yet to see a spreader in this fight.
Yeah, there we are. There it is. But of course, final form.
It never fails, Taps. It never fails. So he's going to keep
John's
the
going
lobbers.
to see 4 spreaders now. Watch. It's going to be absurd.
I know, right? It always happens. I mean, there it is.
There's
another one.
3. Yeah.
Oh, my God. This is true definition of game nose, Tapatio.
This game, and there's 4.
You called it 4 spreaders. Do I hear 5? Do I hear 5? And now he gets the invulnerability that goes with the spread. Oh, prognosticator among prognosticators here at the commentator's booth. He could have used that 10 drops ago. Come on, game.
That's just typical Mutoid Man right there. I apologize to all the rest of our racers because we'll probably see that like 3 or 4 more times tonight.
Oh, probably more.
Just spreader drops just to troll us that they laugh for.
It always happens. I mean, I've seen you run the game, and I know when you were chasing after that sub 6, that seemed to happen to you all the time. No spreaders, you're on pace, no spreaders, and then when you get to the final 4, then he decides to give you the spreaders. It just always works that way.
It's not quite kicking you if you're down, you at least get a weapon, so you're getting through, but it's like, could you not just give me that like 15, 20 seconds before? We would have been through this already. I'd be out of your hair. We'd be on to the next run. But no, you guys got to do this to us. All right.
Yeah, absolutely. So Aquas just needs to get one more game won, and he will be moving on to the second round of the winners bracket. But again, nobody eliminated tonight. If you do lose, you go down into the second chance bracket, and who knows what might happen there.
Yeah, I was bringing this up yesterday. I'm really looking forward to that lower bracket, those second round matchups. There's going to be some people getting PBs, just really like improving their skills off that first game. Maybe they go back and kind of watch the tape of how the first tournament went. Maybe someone like some Brysol for 40 in the commentary or something like that is giving some advice as far as maybe what they should be adjusting with, and then you start to see those PBs drop down. I want to see some 7 minutes here from someone like John Bloody Thumbs here. So I hope so, that we see it in game 3.
Maybe we will. All right, so game number 3 coming up between Aquas and John Bloody. If Aquas wins this one, he moves on to the second round. And of course, don't forget, the top 16 runners of the tournament are getting paid this year, and there's a prize pool of more than $1,000 in cash and prizes.
Yeah, big money, big prizes this year. It's been actually quite amazing, from the controller and console support, the cash prize at hand, the nice little innovative little extra challenges, little cash grabs that we have. It's been pretty awesome. It's been a great feature that we've had the last couple of years for the Smash TV annual race.
It most certainly is. It is game number 3 now between Aquas and John Bloody. Arena 1 with both of them having the Razor Shields here. And once again, it is going to be Aquas with the whole shot. Another pretty solid time. It'll be a mid-40. It was a little bit too far away from the door when the room ended there. That's why he didn't get that sub-40. It'll be a 47 for John. About a 6.5 second lead for Aquas. Let's see what our first power-up is in collect powers. And the rich getting richer here. Taps, gets a second drop orb in game number 2, gets a first drop orb in game 3.
You love to see it when you're running and you see that first. It's a weight off the chest sort of thing. It's like, all right, we're ready to go. Like, the game, it won't give you everything, and as you can see, he's getting grenades now. He's not getting great weapons, but it's like, just give me that orb early.
And there's an orb for John. And 78 seconds this time at Eaton My Struggle. That is consistency for Aquas. He's been sub 80 all 3 games.
And that's scary when he's performing at that level. He doesn't need anything else. Just give me that orb early. We're good to go. And yeah, we'll be destroying this room. Gonna control the center here, deal with the key. And yeah, soon enough, we'll just be down to the shrapnel for here. John, though, getting in there with Spreader is going to be able to deal with those early foot soldiers, has the orb, and looks to have the center of this room. Got 4 on the board for a little bit, but I don't think he loses too much time.
And there's a ending Razor Shield again. Aqua's going to use it to finish off the room. He should be out of there at about 2:01, I would believe. And, yep, 2:01.
Yeah, low, just over 2 minute. Like, that's stellar. A lot of grenades for John Bloody Thumbs, and he's going after him. He's using them, really trying to pull items as far as get some good drops. I want to see some rockets over here for John. Like, he's going for it. He's trying.
And I don't blame him one bit. That is the end of the room. Very nicely done there by John. Let's see if he can handle... Oh, and the bad drops continue for John here. Aqua's got the Razor Shield here in Total Carnage, has been able to keep control of the center. We'll see if he's able to get some more weapons, though. Oh, and is picked off. Just too much going on the screen. And, of course, Razor Shield comes barely too late for John. Ugh.
Yeah, just unfortunate timing. And then finally gets rockets. We'll be able to single fire use these rockets, and it looks to be pretty effective.
Wow, 253 into the bonus room for Aquas. Dynamite time there.
Yeah, and that's incredible. You got to be feeling good about how your run's going if you're seeing a 250 anything, let alone a low 250 right there. That's super nice time going to bonus.
Meanwhile, unfortunately, the drops have dried up severely here. Foot followed by a key for John here, and that is not what you want to see if you're trying to stay in this race against Aquas in the opening drop. Invulnerability, yeah, you're kind of typical fare there to start tank trouble. We'll see if it gets better. It does get better for Aquas, but can he... Oh, he loses the orb, unfortunately, trying to get to those rockets, so... But here comes more rockets.
Yeah. And this is the thing. I think this is a good move. Yeah, it hurts to lose anything like an orb, but yeah, if you could all of a sudden parlay this into rockets and you're just single firing along, you'll be able to extend this fire out. He's only halfway through the clip. He's taking out another tank. He's firing down the line. So very effective single rocket use there by Aquas. easy enough to keep this room steady with those.
Absolutely. If you can, get good solid firing lanes off of those rockets, you can live in tank trouble without the ore, provided you keep getting weapons. Of course, that doesn't happen very often. I mean, not everybody can Prince Leaf it and get 6 rocket drops in a row in this room. Still, a 4:15 going into the Mutoid Man fight, a solid time.
Very solid time. Very nice. And let's see, John getting the invulnerability will, unfortunately the upper spawn right there, the foot soldiers end up cutting off that replacement orb drop. Does have spreader though, should be able to start getting back control of this room.
All right, so we got back-to-back rockets here for Aquas here to start the Mutoid Man fight. Now switching it up to lobbers, the more consistent damage. No spreaders yet for Aquas. Invulnerability followed up by rockets here for John in tank trouble. Then a foot. There's a spreader in a prime position and blocks it, as you typically see when they're on a stellar pace like that. How many times have we seen that, Taps?
Too many times, Cards. That is, yeah. And you take that you're fully expecting. I half expect him to actually run it over every time. So when it opens up and he doesn't do it, it's half the time it's a surprise. We'll go for this one. Should get it. That was a really early death right there. We'll get
Very
to that
nice.
spread.
And also notice Aquas got there because he did not fire his weapon. That's one thing I think a lot of maybe the rookie runners don't realize. If you're trying to get a weapon and time is of the essence, you do not want to be firing your weapon because it actually slows you down. And every frame counts when you're trying to get that weapon.
Yeah, absolutely. You got to beeline it to there. Nothing else really matters until you get to that. No reason to fire anyways. Able to get to that spreader, gets to the left side, is able to get to final form. Grenades, I think, won't quite finish it here. Probably will need these rockets. Yeah, we'll take the rockets. This should be the end of it right here for Aquas. Another potential low 6, except lasers. Okay.
Yeah, the Mutoid Man getting the last laugh here. Just a few shots left for Aquas to finish the job, and does it again. This will be another consistent time. Yeah, he's hovered around the 16s to the 620 range all night. That is consistency, folks. That's going to win you a lot of races in this tournament. So Aquas 623 wins the match, and John unfortunately saw the spreaders. Oh no!
Oh, it just appeared.
Oh man, if he didn't get vibrated into, he could have had a big opportunity there, Taps.
Yeah, Mutoid not feeling the vibe right there of the run, becoming a PB for JohnBloodyThumbs right there. Decided to back it up a little bit, and unfortunately, John's gonna take that one. And then Key, needs to see a drop. There's the lobbers right there. Let's see if you can get these angles. This is a tricky one. Yeah, start to work the top, and yeah, does have some nice angle right here off the lobbers. So very nice by John, getting that line down.
All right, and then gets another empty drop. I mean, it's bad enough that you're an underdog in this match. It's even worse when the game decides to just troll you to no end.
Yeah, it's kind of one of those things. Usually, if you're just not as used to this run, you're going to be in this room a little bit longer, and the longer you're ever dealing with Mutoid, the more opportunity he has to, do Mutoid things to you. And we'll troll you by running over the good weapons and not dropping you other things. Just being a little annoyance the entire time. Decent attempts at spread. I like the manual attempts there for John. Yeah,
it looked like he got some decent damage there with the manuals there on John's side. Unfortunately, we're kind of losing a few frames on his side, but it did look like he landed a few shots as he's on the penultimate form now.
Yeah, that head pop is able to get it in, and now down to that final form. We'll need to get these lobbers here. I'm expecting at least one more spreader from this guy, right?
Well, we'll see. The lobbers could be. There it is. Taps quick. What are tonight's lottery numbers?
What's the final score of the Cards game tonight? They playing tonight?
They are not playing tonight. They are off. But they did win 9-0 yesterday.
All right, I would have gone with a 9 then. At least it's one of them.
Okay. In any event, John Bloody will finish up the run with an 8:45. But it is Aquas moving on to the second round of the winners bracket. And here is a look at the prize breakdown for our top 16 contestants. As you can see, first place will take home $70 in cash plus a $100 CHX store credit. Second place will pick up $135 in cash and prizes. Third place will still pick up a nice $100 in cash and prizes. And fourth place, $40 plus the Smash TV logo perler for making it into the top 4 of the tournament. And there you see the rest of the prize breakdown from 5th through 16th, getting between $10 and $30. And you see we've got some performance awards with the fastest Mutoid Man fight, taking home a custom LED Super Nintendo controller. And there's the bad beat bonus. You'll get some Smash TV drops perlers. Rookie of the Year is going to get a $25 CHX store credit. Most games played in the bottom half of the bracket, you're going to win a $25 Steam gift card. And of course, we've got those secret performance and toss-up awards that could happen at any time. And that, of course, will be announced at the end of each match. So we'll see if any of these runners at any time can take home any of those secret goodies.